Hi there, I'm James and welcome to another Soton Brain Hub video where we'll be covering the descending tracts. The learning objectives of this video are to identify the location of different descending tracts in the spinal cord and to understand the function of the descending tracts and what structures are involved in their pathway. But what are descending tracts? Descending tracts of the spinal cord originate from the cerebral cortex and brainstem. They are concerned with the control of movement, muscle tone, spinal reflexes, spinal autonomic functions, and the modulation of sensory transmission to higher centers. Now, I'm going to identify different anatomical structures in a cross-section of the spinal cord and explain their function. Grey matter in the center of the cord is shaped like a butterfly and consists of cell bodies of interneurons and motor neurons, as well as neuroglial cells and unmyelinated axons. White matter consists mostly of glial cells and myelinated axons. The white matter is white because of the fatty substance myelin that surrounds nerve fibers. The lateral cortical spinal tract consists primarily of primary motor neurons, concerned with the control of voluntary, discrete, skilled movements, especially those of the distal parts of limbs. These fibers decussate at the level of the pyramids in the medulla and comprise of 85% of the cortical spinal tract. The anterior cortical spinal tract consists of primary motor neurons that do not decussate at the level of the pyramids, but instead descend ipsilaterally. These motor neurons are concerned with the voluntary control of axial muscles of the trunk. The Tectospinal Tract arises from the superior colliculus of the midbrain. The superior colliculus receives visual input, and the Tectospinal Tract is thought to mediate reflex movements in response to visual stimuli. The Reticular spinal tract arises from the reticular formation of the pons and medulla. Axons arising from the pontine reticular formation descend ipsilaterally as the medial reticular spinal tract. The vestibulous spinal tract arises from the vestibular nuclei, situated in the pons, medulla, and near the floor of the fourth ventricle. The vestibular nuclei receives input from the labyrinthine system by way of this vestibular nerve and from the cerebellum. The function of these motor commands is to alter muscle tone and change the position of limbs and head with the goal of supporting posture and maintaining balance of the body and head. The lateral reticular spinal tract arises when axons from the reticular formation in the medulla descend bilaterally. The function of both the medial and lateral reticular spinal tracts is to influence voluntary movement, reflex activity, and muscle tone by controlling the activity of both alpha and gamma motor neurons. They also mediate pressor and depressor effects upon the circulatory system and are involved in the control of breathing. The Rubra spinal tract originates from the red nucleus of the midbrain tegmentum. The red nucleus receives afferent fibers from the motor cortex and from the cerebellum. The fibers of the Rubra spinal tract are partly intermingled with the lateral cortical spinal tract, and accordingly they exert control over the tone of the limb flexor muscles, being excitatory to the motor neurons of these muscles. This is a summary table of the different descending tracts. The pyramidal tracts, so called because they pass through the pyramids of the medulla, are the lateral and anterior cortical spinal tracts. They function to supply voluntary control to the muscles of the limbs and trunk. The remaining descending tracts are known as the extra-pyramidal tracts because they do not pass through the medullary pyramids. These are the Tectospinal Tract, which mediates reflex movements in response to visual stimuli, the reticular spinal tract, which mediates motor movements through alpha and gamma motor neurons, but also modulates the circulatory system and breathing, the vestibulous spinal tract, which coordinates balance, and the Rubra spinal tract, which has an excitatory effect on limb flexors. Thank you for your attention during this video. I hope it's been helpful. Please make sure you check out more Soton Brain Hub content on our YouTube channel for more neuroanatomy help.
Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel to help explain the mysteries of the brain.